Hey everybody, Eddie V with Digital Moxy. Today's podcast I'll be talking about, it's 2024, and what are you ready to do for 2024? Is this going to be another year of just walking the line, doing the safe thing, and just, not really excelling to the best of your ability? And in some ways, there's nothing wrong with that. A good, simple life is a blessing, Some people don't like a lot of excitement. A lot of people don't want a lot of extra turmoil or extra headaches. As you get older, I'm in my 50s. So you get into your 50s, you start saying, well, the less you interact with people, and these are my opinions, the less I interact with people, the less problems I'm going to have. Because people sometimes just bring problems. But, in the world of business, you need to network, meet people, and learn how to navigate through these people, build relationships that are going to benefit you. You start getting to a certain age where you just don't give a shit, man. I really don't care. Like when somebody says, hey, we're having a party, there's a part of me that's like, I don't want to go to a party, man. I want to be at home. It's like that David Bowie song, Modern Love. I don't want to go out. I want to get things done. I always liked that line as a kid. But it rings ever so true now when I'm in my 50s. I say, I don't want to go out. I only want to go out on my terms. If I want to go out, shoot video or take a walk, I actually prefer to do that by myself and maybe with somebody that I can connect, that I'm very connected with. But the chances of you being connected with somebody on that level, in my opinion, is a very, it's kind of tough. You're not going to find somebody. I mean, not that you're not gonna, and not that there isn't people like that. But I think the concept of having a soulmate is pretty deep. It's pretty good. I mean, if you got that kind of relationship, then you're very lucky. And I know that it's not something that's just given. It is sometimes just given. You might connect with somebody, but the building and earning the relationship, I think that's not the given part. You have to constantly work on that. But the thing is this, if you don't have that and you are a person just living your life, you're 9 to 5, coming home, what are you doing? Working out? Are you plopping in front of a TV? Are you cleaning your house? Are you reading a book? How are you taking care of your mental? How are you taking care of who you are? Are you working on you? Are you cultivating relationships? I mean, a lot of times being a parent is a lot of work. Being a friend is a lot of work. Everything, I think sometimes when you're younger, you take a lot of things for granted. But when you get older, you realize, there's a lot of things people do because they want to do them, not because they have to do them. When we're young, we do things because we have to do them. We're being told what to do. And as we get older, we realize, like, I don't have to do that. I don't have to be spoken to that way. I don't have to get up at that time. I don't have to go out in this weather. I don't have to make it difficult for me. You start setting your own rules in your life. That's a part of being an adult. And sometimes people forget that you have that power. And that's the same thing like if you're in a bad relationship. You have the power to get rid of that bad relationship. Don't be stuck in a relationship that's not fruitful. Don't be stuck in a relationship that becomes such a hassle, so much work. I think, in my opinion, relationships should be so organic where, you shouldn't even think about, like, it shouldn't be a headache to deal with a person, And maybe I'm being idealistic. I've had a couple of relationships when they were really good. That's how they were. But the thing is that people grow, people change. And I think that that's the biggest thing with people is that sometimes you outgrow the relationship or you outgrow that person you were when you were in that relationship. Well, that's basically the same thing what I just said. But the thing is this, I don't know, I'm jumping back and forth from relationship, from self-focus, from self-initiative. I think because right at this point in my life, I'm going through transition and I'm asking a lot of questions. And for me, this is my therapy, is doing my podcast, talking about these things, giving my perspective on things. Because I know unless you know, I find that I don't really have anybody I could talk to. So for me, this is my therapy. I get to talk out loud, and I get to talk about the things that are in my mind. And for me, maybe this podcast will reach somebody that it'll help. Then again, maybe it's not for anybody to hear, but just for me to voice these thoughts in my mind and just expunge them from my mind and become a better person. I think at the end of the day, my own personal deal is to be a healthy individual, to be able to be somebody that is a functional adult. I mean, think about people want to stop growing at a certain age. And the thing is, in life, you can never stop growing. You got to keep going. Things are always going to change. Circumstances are always going to change. And the thing is that if you're not at the top of your game, then you should, in my opinion, I think that it's a thing where you should always strive to be at the top of your game. And I think sometimes we get complacent in life, and I think that we think it gets away from us. But to be honest with you, I'm 55 years old, and some of the things I'm going through in my life, I never thought I would be going through them when I was a kid or a teenager. You always think of adults being people that have everything in order, they understand everything. But when you become an adult, you realize, like, you know what, man? It's different circumstances. It's different people. It's the old people. It's the new people. It's the young people. It's always somebody. I mean, it's always an ongoing battle. And the thing is that you're sometimes better off by yourself. And you're sometimes, you know, like they said, the best time for you to grow is when you're going through some shit, man. Make yourself stronger. You know, I'll tell you right now, I'm trying to get back to my faith, trying to realign myself, because, you know, you start getting older, you think like, hey man, I survived the pandemic, and I've seen a lot of people pass away. The last few years, I've seen guys a little older, a little younger than me die as well. And it's a part of life. And, you know, as you get older, you start taking those things a little more serious. And if you're not where you want to be in life, then you better start asking yourself tougher questions. And it's never too late to keep challenging yourself. For me, my challenge here is, this is my endeavor. I want to be in the creator space. I want to share my insights on things. I want to be able to help people. And I also would like to, you know, I think I have a lot of valid things to say. I think there's a lot of living that needs to be done. And the only way you start living is by doing. I'm living it right now. I'm talking about things. I'm talking about going to the next level. I'm talking about improving myself. Do I have a good life now? Yeah, I got a good life. I got a real good life. And the thing is that a lot of things, life begins with you appreciating what you have. And it also, I'm a big proponent of, you got to be able to be of service to people. You need to be able to be compassionate, be helpful to people. Sometimes that's not always the easiest thing to do. And sometimes we pick and choose who we want to be compassionate with. And the thing is that in some cases, that's not a problem. In other cases, you can't be like that, you know. And, you know, this is basically just a part of conversations I'm having about relationships. This is going to be a series. You know, I'm making this is my podcast, the Digital Moxy podcast, and for the next few episodes, I'll probably be talking about self-motivation. I'll be talking about relationships. I'll be talking about being single. I'll be talking about doing, you know, your own mental checkups, making sure that you're in a good space. And you also got to start doing your physical checkups. You start getting older, you got to start worrying about your long-term health. Who's going to take care of you? How are you going to take care of yourself? What if something, you know, what happens is we get older and the odds start increasing that you know, something could happen to you. You know, that's in anything. You know, but the thing is that, you know, as you get older, your ability to rebound, or your ability to, you know, if you're single by yourself, you know, you got to be able to manage that. You got to be able to navigate those kind of problems. And for me, these are conversations that sometimes you can have with people and sometimes you can't. So for me, the best way to have these conversations is to put the dialogue out there, to say these things, because I know somebody's listening, and I know somebody can benefit from that. I mean, I don't know how most people think about things, but if you're a reasoning adult, you think about these things. If you're a person who's been a parent, if you're any kind of a good parent, then you made sure that you raised self-sufficient children. I think that's the biggest thing, you know. If your kid's self-sufficient, you know, then you did your job. You know, if they're people that are functioning in society, then you did a good job. And you can't beat yourself up about your relationships with your kids, because sometimes they are adults and sometimes they want to be who they are, and sometimes they don't need a parent all the time. You know, you're a parent to a certain time. You'll always be their parent, but they only need parenting at a certain age. But they'll always need parenting. You know, be it from an adult talking to another adult who happens to be your father or be your mother. And the thing is, you got to be open for that, and you can't be the hammer. Sometimes being a parent, you know, you have to be tough, but there's sometimes when you're a parent, you have to be tender, you have to be understanding. And if you don't know that, if you've never been told that, then you need to hear it. Then that's what I'm saying. So I'm going to end this podcast. This is just a real quick podcast on my perspectives on relationships, my perspective on 2024 and moving forward and doing things with yourself, and making sure your mental health is where it's supposed to be, making sure you're taking care of yourself physically. Also make sure that you're eating correctly. You know, you can't live like a 20-year-old in a 50-year-old's body, and your body will hold you accountable. Your whole life will hold you accountable for every decision you've ever made. So that's what part of maturity is. You start understanding, like, man, when I was doing that in my 20s, I didn't think it was going to affect me, but now it's affecting me. I'm not saying that I'm affected by a lot of my choices in life, but there are choices that I made in life that have affected me. Am I on the positive end of it? Am I in a good place? Yes, I am. Thank God. I thank God for that. And that's another thing that we have to talk about is where's your spirituality? Are you good with God? Are you good with your religion? And you know, you have to look at yourself. That I can't help you with. That's your own self-examination. Well, I don't want to make this podcast longer than it really is. I get these little bursts, you know, these sprinting bursts of mental floss that I got to release, and that's what I'm doing. So I'll catch you on the flip side. I hope I've helped somebody with this video, and look out for me on the next podcast. Bye.